Hey everybody, this is Mark with iCards USA. Just wanting to stop in real quick and talk a little bit about a topic that has been coming up at a lot of shows, and that is it really worth getting your cards graded? And where do I go to grade? So to answer the first question, that's real simple. Is it really worth getting your cards graded? Overall, I would say yes. Okay, the overarching decision, I guess, would be made by you in the sense of why. Why do you want to get your cards graded? Most people want to get their cards graded because of the resale value. If you get a good card and you get it graded, right? It gets well, let's be honest, it has to get a 10 from PSA. And if you get that 10 from PSA, you're going to be able to sell that card for the greatest amount, right? For a much higher amount than you would raw. If you get a 9, you'll probably get a little bit more than you would raw. But once you start getting into like 8 and below, it's not going to happen for you as far as from perspective of flipping that card and getting more money, right? The second reason why you might want to get your card graded is because it goes into your PC, your personal collection. And so you want to have it protected, you want to have it preserved, you want to kind of maybe show it off even if it doesn't have the highest grade. You want to put it on your mantle or whatever. So that's why you want to get it graded, right? Those are the two biggest reasons. Who should you get it graded with? As I alluded to before, PSA is, for whatever reason, is the juggernaut when it comes to getting your card slabbed out. And to be honest, I mean, look, and that's if it's a TCG card, a Pokemon card, sports card, whatever. It's PSA right now. Years ago, it used to be Beckett, and personally, I just think that's just so stupid to me. PSA is held in that high regard, honestly, for no real reason, just because the hobby just holds them up there. Honestly, it used to be Beckett at one point in time. Beckett was like way up there, and then PSA just kind of took over, which I think PSA actually owns Beckett now. So, but nonetheless. The reason why I think that's a bunch of crap, to be honest, is there's a lot of good grading companies out there. Now, there's a lot of grading companies, okay? Like, there's a lot. Like, if you go into Instagram or something and you look up grading companies, I mean, it's going to pull up just dozens upon dozens upon dozens. However, there's a top 10. I don't have them listed. Maybe I'll do that as another video. But there's probably a good top 10, depending on what kind of cards you want to get graded. If you want to get a sports card graded, and I'm a person that collects sports cards, I don't do the non-sports. I know a lot of guys that do. I host a lot of shows, and you know, at any given show, 60% or better are non-sports. But I'm a sports card collector. PSA is who you want to get your card graded with. Beckett is who you want to get your card graded with. And personally, the best looking slab as far as sports are concerned is SGC. In my opinion, SGC is the best looking one. I'm a fan of the tuxedo look. Specifically, if you have a vintage card, SGC is who you really want to go with. I mean, the most expensive card, sports card, is a Honus Wagner card. That's in the SGC slab, right? So, vintage cards for sure, sports cards for sure, SGC. I personally think they're the best looking. But the grades are really going to impact what you can sell. A 10 in SGC, a 10 in Beckett is not going to get you this. It's not going to fetch you the same money typically as PSA, as a PSA 10, and that's just how it is. At least for now. I do think I am starting to see a little bit of a change, not with sports cards, but with non-sports cards. I'm seeing a lot of specifically Pokemon vendors. They're getting their cards slabbed with CGC and tag. Those two for sure. Those two. There's a couple other ones that I've started to see people use, but CGC, to be honest, CGC and tag are the ones that I'll see a lot of non-sports card vendors going towards. And slowly but surely, a couple of 10s, depending on the card, are fetching pretty close to what a 10 with that same card is in a PSA. So there's a slight shift there. I think some of that is because PSA keeps going up on rates and prices. There's also the lead time is crazy. Like, you know, you submit a card and it takes PSA months to get it back to you, right? And when if it's a non-sports card, that may not make a big difference. But if it's a sports card, that could make a big difference. Specifically, if it's active season for that sport. So if you submit a card of an active player in, say, basketball, right? You submit it during the season, and it takes them a few months to get back. Well, that player's value may go down during that time, because you got to strike while the iron's hot. That individual could get injured, traded, have some type of media gaffe that goes on. He gets caught up in a case, does something stupid, gets drunk in a club, baby mama come out the woodwork. I mean, who knows what, right? And then now nobody wants to touch him. And that's for active sports figures. Now, obviously, if you have somebody that's a legend like Kobe, Jordan, Shaq is actually on the rise right now. That's different. Like, those guys are solidified. Those prices, there's not as many peaks and valleys. Kobe's and Jordan's and Shaq cards are actually going up, which is crazy. Like, they've just really been going up. I know a lot of friends that have been selling those cards like crazy. So, and then of course when it comes to football, there's people that are just going to be steady. Barry Sanders is always going to sell well. It's a nice, he's nice and steady. Any vintage, old school players, Michael Irvin, those kind of guys, they are what they are, and they're not typically going to go up or down, right? Not a whole lot. Obviously, if you're slabbing out quarterback, I mean, football is going to be quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are king, right? If you got running backs or wide receivers that you're slabbing out that aren't legendary, that are active right now, you just want to be careful. You want to get them off. You want to get them off when you can. But right now, look. If you're selling cards, I don't even know how I'm getting off on this tangent, but if you're selling sports cards, football in particular, right now is the time to buy up who you think is going to pop off. Bo Nix is one that you want to buy him now while you can get him pretty low. And then if he does good for the first 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of the regular season, that price is going to go up, and I would let those go. Let them go. Obviously, if you hold on to them and they get into the playoffs, they're going to go higher. And if they get to the dance, it's going to go higher. And then if they win, obviously, right? But I mean, buy them low. And if you could triple or quadruple up, to me, you're good. But nonetheless, I think it's cool to slab your cards. Definitely slab them out. If you're slabbing out a card for your PC, go with whoever you want, regardless. Like, whatever you think is better, that looks better to you, that's who you go with, right? Who I think. You know what? Rare Edition is very good too. I didn't mention them, but I've done an opening on them when I've submitted to them years ago. Reached out to them. Hopefully, I can get them to one of my shows. CGC came to my last show, but I do actually like the Rare Edition slabs. They might have the best slab in the game. I mean, it's like a cell phone. It's like go check that video out. Like, it's like a cell phone. It's like in plexiglass. Like, it's super dope. Specifically for PC cards. On the resale tip, not so much, but for PC, absolutely. Absolutely, Rare Edition is dope. But again, like I'll say, if it's for your PC, get whoever you like. Who I thought would have done well, but then they just ended up just going to the crapper was HGA. I liked the fact that they had like personalized slabs. You could have the colors match to the card. I mean, you could have the label match to the color of the card. It could be like a paintbrush look. It could be like a splash. It could be a whole bunch of stuff. And they graded actually pretty hard. They also showed the subgrades, right? So I thought HGA would have popped off, but they didn't. And I think some of it was because the wait times were just ridiculous. They started taking on more than they could handle, and I don't think they just ever recouped from that, honestly. But that just is what it is. Look, without taking too much more time and dragging this out, if you want to get your cards slabbed, absolutely get them slabbed. Currently, if you want to get your money back for them and it's a sports card or even a non-sports card, you're going to want to go with PSA. You don't have to go with PSA, but if you want to get the bigger buck for it right now, that's what you're going to have to go with. And of course, for your non-sports cards, absolutely what I'm seeing go really take off is Tag and CGC. And if you happen to want to be at one of my shows, hit me up, iCardsUSA@gmail.com. But until next time, this is Mark with iCardsUSA. Bye.